colleagues at KET for another splendid work. Good evening, I'm Renee Shaw of KET, and we hope you've enjoyed this first program from our new Dropping Back In series. As you heard earlier, our goal with the series is to expand awareness of the dropout issue, put a face on the issue through first-hand stories and people talking about why they dropped out, and what helped them persevere enough to drop back in. From the film you just saw, what would you like to share with what you learned and what you hope the audience and others who watch this will learn about our dropout issue?
If failure is an option, someone will always choose it. All the other stuff, the academics, is really irrelevant if a child does not believe that someone cares enough to invest in them. Every child deserves somebody who believes and sees them in their greatest possibility, not in their current reality.
When you look at Maslow's hierarchy, you see that belonging comes before achievement. But we somehow in education forgot that along the way. So your picture goes on the wall when you achieve, when you're the captain, when you're some award winner or a great athlete or something. And growing up in poverty, you're often hammered, inundated with messages that you don't belong.
I drive 30 minutes to Iroquois and Western High School. It's a light year away from where I live to where these kids live. They're in our community. We need to be grabbing their hand and helping show them the way.
I think we don't have an achievement gap, what we have is an opportunity gap. And too often with schools, we are going to either do one of two things: create impossible expectations that are so high that you can't do it because we refuse to build you a scaffold or a ladder to get you there, or we lower the expectations so much for kids from poverty that by doing so we erode that sense of belonging. Where soon they recognize the discrepancy between who they are and what we think and who we think everyone else is. And that again is another soft way to push kids out of the educational experience.
The only way you find achievement before opportunity is in the dictionary. Every other place it doesn't happen. So we really do have to build a sense of, in young people, that there needs to be opportunity to access the very same things that they see in the community. Music and dance and art and poetry, and an opportunity to make mistakes and to be carried to a better answer, not yelled at, cajoled, and embarrassed to it. It's very hard to engage folks when we have built a system that considers punishment an appropriate response to adolescence. We cannot punish our way out of childhood. It's a process.
It's not okay to tell a young person they can't make mistakes. We have got to get to that place where we all, every day, figure out that every young person in this community is ours, and there absolutely are no young people that we can do without.
We often forget that, when a kid can't read, it's the education system's job to teach them to read. When a kid can't do mathematics or doesn't know how to do mathematics, we teach them. When they don't know how to spell, we teach them. When they don't know how to behave, we punish them.
There are thousands of jobs in the Louisville market right now in healthcare and information technology, right? There are new jobs emerging in manufacturing, many of which pay good middle-class wages, where you can have the same sort of middle-class dream that my parents had here with my dad as a factory worker with a high school degree, right? But what we know is almost none of those jobs can you access without a high school degree or a GED.
What we're trying to do is connect these kids to a career and a college readiness pathway so we can introduce them to opportunity. We want to try to catch them as freshmen, identify some opportunities for them, connect them with a mentor, connect them with an organization, connect them with businesses in our community to define a pathway for their success.
Traditional route don't work for everybody. You've got to have other opportunities and other mechanisms. We would love everybody to graduate from high school, move on to a four-year degree, but that's not going to be the reality. So although that is important, GED classes are important, Youth Build is important, Kentucky Youth Career Center is important, because there's a lot of us who it just doesn't work for. I disconnected from school in the 6th grade. I remember when, I know why, I just never felt connected all the way through it. I actually stayed all the way in until 12th grade, didn't get in trouble, didn't cause no trouble, was there, but never had a connection to any of the teachers or the school themselves. So for me, at 18, a counselor and an assistant principal, we have a conversation. I can never remember what the conversation was, but it seemed like there was a mutual agreement that there was no reason for me to come back. The only reason I went back to get my GED is because I was working at Chuck E. Cheese and I could not become a manager because I didn't have a high school diploma or a GED, right? So I remember really why I went back and got it, but then I know how many doors is open. So I think you gotta realize as parents and community members, what is the best option for some kids?
We have 1,197 students drop out. Nearly 1,200 students that walk into our community where their options are limited.
When you think about those numbers that Dewey just shared, those folks, if they don't get their GEDs, are going to be parents of kids who were sitting to JCPS who can't really help them get through some of the work that they need to get through. They'll do the best they can, they'll work on it. But if we don't pay attention to and figure out how we work with the family and the kid at the same time, because I think we, as a community, for so long have thought we can get the kids right and get them in a good place, but forget that they're connected to other people. You know, we always talk about they need a caring adult. Most kids got a caring adult who's caring for them the best they can. I think what they need is some supportive systems and understanding that these kids come with connections. They come with a story. Now they got a future story that they need to write, but they come in the door with a story, and they come in the door with a lot of resources, a lot of knowledge that we don't tap into, and they see that that's unimportant to us. So then that's when the disconnection starts. So I think, you know, when you look at the number, there's 50,000 that you say?
Yes.
People in Louisville without a degree, without a high school diploma or a GED. I mean, that's a huge number, and you can only imagine the lack of resources around jobs that they can find, the lack of resources of how they can help their kids do better in school.
The single biggest reason people go back to get their GED is to be able to work with their kids on their homework. I want to give the state of Kentucky and the legislature of Kentucky a lot of credit. There are some states that the only money they have to do adult education comes from the federal government, but it's not very much. Kentucky funds it with state money on top of federal money. So we have a more robust program, and we have adult education departments in all 120 counties, right? So part of why you're seeing these things in the KET video from little counties in the holler is that every single county has an adult ed program. So there's still lots of hope, lots of energy, and lots of good programming for people. Our message to people should be at whatever age, just like the gal in the video who was 49, it still opens up the world. Everybody in this room ought to leave and go back home either to their PTA or their church or synagogue or to their family and just try to tell one person. Because what I find, and I am totally guilty of this, right, is that I'm hoping someone else would do this. Isn't someone else going to start a media campaign? Isn't someone else going to get this thing going? Isn't this ball going to get run? Anthony's right, the mayor's doing all he can, but he can't get on, you know, like, we have to do it. I think that's Lynn's message, like, we have to do it.
We've allowed a lot of wonderful children, a lot of people with great promise to slip away because we never had that one teacher or that one person or even that parent who says, no, 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 I don't care how things look, this is where you belong. So when I see the video, my response is it's about belonging. It's about people who found a way to embrace a sense of belonging in something that in many ways had been foreign to them. And they found their belonging in GED, or they found their belonging in the people that they were able to connect to.
The work that we do here at the front line, re-engaging those who fall out or pushed out, and I think that's more often the case. Push-outs, not dropouts. The more we have the ability and the courage to re-engage them, to ensure that they reach their capacity for our community, the greater our communities get. And I think that really is the challenge that I see.